going to wing it. There's something very beautiful about Yosef Hatzadik, Yosef Tzadok, that we often don't think about, that really builds on what you said, Dave. Why of all the biblical characters is he the one that's referred to as Hatzadik? Avram is not given that appellation. Yitzchak, Yaakov are not called that. Why does Yosef earn that title? If you think about his story, and if you think about it within the context of the biblical flow, you find something fascinating. For the first time in Yosef's life, since the beginning of the story of the Jewish people, since Abraham, for the first time, God is silent. He doesn't talk directly to Yosef. He speaks directly to Avram and to Yitzchak and to Yaakov and to Sarah. He tells them what to do at times. When Yosef enters into the scene, suddenly God doesn't talk. He doesn't speak to Yosef in the pit. He doesn't speak to him in Egypt. He doesn't tell him of his challenges. He doesn't promise him that everything will be fine. And strangely enough, what Yosef does is not only in this time of darkness does he believe in God with a firmness, but he keeps bringing God into the picture, and he keeps determining through his life what he believes God would want him to do. Unlike the others, he has to figure that out for himself. And that's why he becomes the tzaddik, because he is the one who, in this time of darkness and silence, determines what is the kind of life that God would want me to live, and lives that life in a beautiful way. And as such, Yosef, more than any other biblical figure in the early era of the Jewish people, is the paradigm for our lives. He's the one who says, when you live in a time when God's not speaking and there's no prophecy, you have to be like Yosef. You have to figure out what God would want you to do. And you have to be that kind of person. You have to be that way. When I think about the people who will touch the life of Yosef Tzadok, Stanley, Joseph, right? Ben, got to get it right now. I think of people, and you said it yourself, I think of so many people who have spent their lives trying to be the kind of people that God would want them to be. Whether it's his namesakes, to your two grandfathers who, as you spoke, lived lives that touched the lives of so many and changed the lives of so many. Whether it's the Schachter family, Dan Schachter, alav hashalom, is the one that I think of, and many of you know, impacted on my life as a child, and did so because, and I still remember so much about what that family gave to my life and gave to the life of my community as I grew. I think of your great-grandmothers who are here, Anna Goldberg and Edith Silverstein, and the ways in which they give to the world and to the family from the heart. I think of each of your sets of parents. I think of my dear friends, Jeffrey and Nava, and I think of Steve and Shira, how each have led in the Jewish community. I mean, look at that chair. That chair has your parents' names inscribed on it, the Kisei Shel Eliyahu, because it was given by someone in this community who was so moved by their contributions that he just, without their knowing, dedicated that chair. Look at this building. Look at the community, Joanna, in which you've grown, and consider the ways in which your parents have said, well, what does God want us to do? What does God want us to be? Without even thinking, it's almost natural. I don't know if it goes through their minds. You'll have to tell me if it does. But what goes through the minds is what's right? What's right? How do we do it? What's got to be done? And how do we do it right? And to see you, the two of you, David and Joanna, to see your emotion at this baby's bris, to see two stellar young people who feel from the heart and are connected from the heart and will raise this child in a home that's connected to our traditions and connected to our world from the heart, lends me a tremendous amount of confidence that he will be a Yosef Tzadok, that he will be a Yosef Hatzadik, that he will find and determine and map out in his life in a way we can scarcely imagine the kind of life that God would want him to live. So on this Erev Pesach, as we begin to relive the story that Yosef began. Let's think about that. To relive the story that Yosef began with his descent to Egypt and then our eventual exodus and the birth of the Jewish nation, which was orchestrated by him in a very unusual way. Let's remember that we remember people and we are surrounded by people who have heard God's call and lived the lives that he would want us to live. And it's our hope and prayer that Yosef HaTzodok will find his way to do exactly the same and bring much nachas to these stellar families, to our entire community for years and years to come. Mazel tov to you. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are all invited to your last chametz meal.